Hello everyone, this is Clay with Dungeons and Javas. A lot of you know me as Tycoon of Doom from our Discord server. Today I thought we'd do a little something different. I've been meaning to try and improve my skills at drafting, so what I want to do is go ahead and participate in a draft, talk through my thoughts as I'm drafting, and then maybe circle back around after I've played my matches, do a critique of my draft. Hopefully, we can learn a little something about this, and maybe some of you are looking to get better at draft too, and can take away some lessons from this experience. So, usually when I'm drafting, I'm going to a sealed event, a pre-release, or a Magic Fest, and participating in the drafts there. And a long time ago, somebody gave me an acronym that's carried me pretty far in those types of events, and that acronym is BEAR, B-E-A-R. The B stands for bombs. You want to try and have one or maybe two late game big beat stick creatures. The E is for evasion, menace, flying, unblockable, that sort of thing. The A is for advantage. You want to be drafting cards that give you some sort of card advantage, whether that's graveyard recursion or card draw or hand disruption of making the other opponent discard. And the last R being removal. That's arguably one of the most important ones, just because you want to be able to take care of your opponent's threats. So like I said, that's been the strategy that I've kind of employed for the most part, just going to smaller events like that. But I've found as I've started playing drafts in Arena that there's another component that's very important, and that is utilizing the set's mechanics as being able to take advantage of the things that are in the set. For instance, we're going to be doing Zendikar Rising here, so we're going to be talking probably primarily about landfall triggers and that sort of thing. So right away, I'm presented with two of my favorite colors to do in draft. I got a lot of black and blue here, so the thing that stands out immediately to me is, of course, the rare, because that's a pretty good removal spell. But I'm going to just look through these just a little bit to make sure that there isn't some synergy that I'm already missing. So this set does have a kicker theme to it as well, and I've seen some people be pretty good with some kicker decks, but the problem is you just don't really know drafting on theme whether or not you're going to hit those themes. Of course, you've also got the rogue, warrior, cleric, and wizard kind of tribal theme, the party theme. And I have been successful with picking up that card and swinging in for unblockable. But I think I'm going to start with the Soul Shatter here and stay in black. That way it gives me pretty good removal. As far as bombs go, this guy's pretty good. He's a late game 5/4 indestructible. So a lot of times it turns your dead draws of lands late in the game to be really good because you can just play the land and give him indestructible and swing. So I kind of either need to decide to take that bomb here or decide on a second color. And I think my only other consideration here would probably be one of these. And if you go with this, you're probably looking at the rogue theme to try and mill them. But I think I am going to go ahead and take this bomb. Nothing else here is standing out. So I'm going to stay in black for now. All right, well, some interesting options here. Oblivion's Hunger can be removal if you are swinging to, if the opponent thinks you're swinging to trade. But I think at this point now I'm going to have to decide on my second color. And the problem is I'm leaning toward white here because I do like some of the flying cards I've seen. But in this particular case, you're looking at needing to have cards like Nahiri's Binding for removal, some additional removal, but we really don't have any card advantage here. So not necessarily going to get stuck in this color right now, But I think I am just going to go ahead and go white. And even though it's a double white, and sometimes that's a bad thing to do, especially if you're going three colors, you want to avoid double mana. But I think I'm going to go with that just for now. So, seen several cards so far with the party mechanic, but I don't think I'm going to go that route. I have seen a lot of good red cards get passed here, and I'm not exactly sure which card to pick out of this one. So this one may be a good one to come back in and look at. This is not bad. It's a 3/2 for 3. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go with that one just because I don't necessarily want to go in another color at this point. None of the red cards were sticking out to me that much. This is really good to trigger a landfall type of mechanic. It would be interesting to go in black and green here. Um, but I think we're going to stay with what I was looking at. Probably stay black-white and go with the additional removal that I'm finding here. So maybe we can go ahead and start triggering effects like the life gain here with black-white. Kitesail Haven, it's underrated, I think. You drop that late game. It's the opponent is basing their decisions on whether or not they can the creatures that you have on board. And so if you can drop that late game and attach it immediately and swing over them, that's pretty good. However, I did just see the Tactician here. Since we are in white, it's pretty good to come out quickly and swing early with that. So I do like a 2/2 flyer for 3, 2/1 flash flying. I like the flash aspect on this guy just because you can hold some mana back for removal, assuming you have instant speed removal like the Soul Shatter or other cards like that. And if you don't use it, then you can always use your mana for flashing in a creature. Alright. Not particularly thrilled with any of these cards. 1/1 Death Touch is pretty decent. I mean, I could look at Pressure Point. It could help me get some flyers through. I guess based on what I'm seeing here, I'll go with that one. And I haven't really paid attention to my creature types yet. I do have Rogue and Cleric and Warrior, so it's possible I could start paying attention to the party mechanic here. And I typically don't play Hand Disruption, but that is a life gain that could possibly trigger up on the marauding thing there, so I'm going to go with that. And the thing about this card is it can be a dead card in your hand, which I'm not a big fan of. If I stay with the aggro mechanic, I could go with this card. And I think I will just pick this one just because I'm running out of time. There wasn't one that stood out to me as fantastic. This is a warrior, and it's a 3/1 for 2 mana, so it's not horrible. And usually at this point, when I'm out of color, I look at the things that I would hate to be played against me. In this particular case, there isn't any, and they're out of colors. And of course, in Arena here, you're not playing against people that are in your pod, so it really doesn't matter. Well, I'm not attacking with equipped creatures, and I don't want to try and splash red. I could, but what I do like is these 2 removal spells down here. So I'm going to go with Vanquish the Weak, and just because it's instant speed and you don't have to lose life. But I'm hoping Feed the Swarm comes back to me around because I will play that card. It's really good. Alright, Journey to Oblivion, standing out to me as removal, and I do have a pretty good party mechanic going thus far. This is kind of good for aggro type decks, or just, overall late game, but that's the one that's standing out to me the most here is the Journey to Oblivion. So seeing this card here, you saw it get passed around late in the previous pack, so chances are people aren't going to take it. And I do have another removal, instant speed removal here, so I'm going to go with that. That's something to consider. Once you've seen the first pack and you've seen the cards that people are passing and passing late, you can know if it's a decision between choosing between two cards and that one's been passed late. Might be a good indication that you could see that card come back around. This isn't horrible. It is 6 cost, so it's decent late game, but the fact that it can be a land is pretty good. I'm not thrilled about the fact that it comes into play tapped. And I am needing to start getting some more creatures here, so I'm going to go with the Flying Rogue here. I think this will probably come back around to me. In previous pods that I've seen, this has not been that great of a card. This is also an interesting thought here for late game bomb. So I am pretty much staying in theme here. I think he may come back around. The party mechanic isn't drafted that much. I've drafted this card in the past thinking, oh, it's going to be really good to tap 2 creatures. Hasn't been. It wasn't really that great for me. I do like the prospect of some card advantage here. Some lifelink to possibly trigger my Marauding Blight Priest. So some interesting choices here. Again, I don't think people are drafting the party mechanic, or I'm hoping not anyway. I don't like that card because it gives your opponent advantage. So I'm going to go with the healer, and then hopefully one of either the other Marauding Blight Priest or that guy comes back around. The one that I was considering the return from the graveyard. This guy was actually very interesting. He's better than you think he is, because he's a big creature for cheap, and it's not that hard to get that many cards in their graveyard. And now that I don't really see anything else in color, I'll go with him. I have tried to make the Skyclave Sentinels work with cards that give +1/+1 counters, but he didn't do much for me either. So again, only 2 cards here in my colors, unless I go with that guy. He's okay. Probably won't end up running him. And this pack's just a stinker. I'd never mainboard Artifact or Enchantment Removal. I shouldn't say never. In Theros Beyond Death, it would be important because there's so many enchantments in that set. And so again, like I said, most times I would look at, if I'm in a pod with local players, I would look to hate draft right there to try and avoid anything I didn't want played against me. And this could possibly pair well with the Relic Golem that I got. The other choice would be another rogue here, and I don't really care. I guess we'll go with this guy. A Death Touching Rogue's pretty good. Alright, at this point, I do like the thought of drafting at least one of those. The 3/1 guy came around late. And it doesn't really matter here. It's just hate draft territory. Alright. That guy is pretty decent, but he's not in my colors. Gerbo is pretty interesting. And only other card in my colors is really here. I mean, I can do another Nahiri's Binding, but I think between the Soul Shatter Vanquish the Weak and the Binding, I wouldn't play another one, so I'm going to go with the Jerboa here. Could take another Landworm, but because I've got the Golem and him, that's a couple of big bombs, and that's really all you need. You don't want anything really more than that. Oh, let's see. It's interesting now that I'm considering taking the big bomb when I just talked about not needing more than 2 big bombs. So I think probably a 2-3 on your turn's pretty decent, but he's not really in the party mechanic theme. This guy is, so I'm going to go with the big guy. Here's some more removal. That's a pretty decent card, especially since you can trade it as a land if you need to, so I'm going to go with that. The other option here is to take another healer. So cleric's on party, and it would trigger the Marauding Blight Priest. So that's interesting. But I think we're going to stick with the takedown. Maybe the cleric will come back around. Ooh, Acquisition Expert's really good. Drop that early. Disrupt their card. Best card in their hand. The other choice is to go with another Feed the Swarm and just have tons of removal. He is a rogue. He is on party. I think we're going to go with him. See how he works out for us. And Spare Supplies is good. Basically gives you 2 cards for 4 mana. I mean, it's not great, but in a situation where I'm not playing blue, could be interesting. I do like the cards that give you option to play him as lands or as the other spell. And like I said, Smite the Monstrous is just sometimes too iffy when you're talking about a potentially dead card in your hand. So I think I'm going to go with this guy because he is some life gain. He's got big toughness for blocking. I mean, it would be obviously he's got life gain too potentially, but I do like the Core Celebrant. So the only real card here that's in my colors is the Mucklord. So I don't really have any particular affinity to any of these cards. Let's see. Sure, I'll take the land. Already got the Ox, already got the Golem. This is a 3-2 for 6, so it's not great. Could be removal. It's the only card that's really in my colors. I'm probably not going to end up playing it. And now we're just down to the fodder. Again, hate draft territory. Assuming you're in your own pot again. To get an Expedition Cleric late, that's interesting. Alright, so when you're building your deck, one of the most important things to focus on is your mana curve, and that's represented up here in Arena. And if you're building it just on when you're in paper, you want to pay close attention to what your mana curve is looking like. And what curving out is when you are playing a land and a spell that's utilizing all of your mana on the first several turns. So that usually indicates that you built a decent deck with a decent mana curve and that you are going to be able to ramp up pretty quickly and have steady turns and keep pressure on your opponent the first several turns. So it's usually a good thing to have your mana curve be a little low in the beginning, get pretty high on converter mana cost 2 and 3, and then start dropping off and tapering back down to 4, 5, and 6 mana. So let's see which one of these cards just don't quite fit. As I said, I don't main board enchantment removal. I'm going to see how many other rogues I have really quick, because if I don't have very many other rogues, it might not be worth running him. Do have 2 of the Sky Dancers. Like I said, the Smites are pretty dead. Only going to run run one Dreadworm and maybe end up cutting him in the end since he's not on in the party mechanic. And here's where I differ from a lot of players when I'm building my decks. I absolutely loathe being mana flooded. And with a deck like this where most of my mana curve is in my 2 and 3, I typically don't run 17 lands. I usually run 16, especially in a time when I have a couple of cards that in this particular set can double as lands. So that being these two right here. So because I have two of these that can double as lands, I'm actually going to drop my mana curve down to 15. So it's kind of risky, and sometimes it does result in me being mana screwed a little bit early in the game. But like I said, I just absolutely loathe being mana flooded late game. All right, so now it's getting down to where I need to cut 4 more cards. So just examining what my options are to cut potentially. That's interesting. I mean, potentially given a couple of creatures +2/+2. I might actually cut this guy. I don't have any sort of landfall mechanic where I can double up on it in a particular turn. If it was like in a landfall deck with green where you could sack a land and go get 2 lands, put them in a battlefield tap type of thing at instant speed, he's pretty good. But I think he's an easy cut here, especially since he's not part of the party mechanic. Although my girlfriend would hate me because she says that's one of the cutest creatures in Magic. All right. I'm iffy on the Mind Drain. I typically don't like playing Hand Disruption. I mean, yes, I realize I've got the Acquisition Expert, but he's on party, he's a 1/2, and he's early Disruption. So I think that's going to be one of my cuts right there. Since I do have the Colossus and the Golem, I am also thinking about dropping the Dreadworm here. In fact, I think I'm going to. Alright, so one more cut to make. Oblivion's Hunger. Don't have creatures with +1/+1, so it's not card draw, and if I do lose creatures, oh well. I would have liked to have gotten that Return from the Graveyard party mechanic card, but alright, well, let's see how I do here. Kind of wish that was 2 white and 1 black to pay for my Nahiri's Binding. Do have early removal though, so not ideal, but I will go ahead and keep this since like I said, I do run fewer lands, so it's good to see 3 in the opening hand. Is that the guy that comes back from the graveyard? Yeah, he's really good. So he's going to need to be either binded or exiled. For the time being, I'm going to play a plains here because if I do draw another plains, I would have needed to have had my two plains to do that. So he's got a +1/+1 mechanic going here. Didn't draw my extra white. Sure would like to remove him with Vanquish the Weak. That guy, but that guy's a 2/2 also, and he doesn't come back, so I could flash in my Sky Dancer here, but I'm just going to go ahead and remove this fella and take 2. Try and weather the early storm here. Oh, and he missed his turn 3 land drop. That's unfortunate for him. So, let me see here. think I can go ahead and take the 2. If I draw another land next turn, I can activate his ability and drop my Sky Dancer. If I can't, then I can activate his ability and put out my Cleric. Unless they kill it. Ooh, gosh. Alright, so spit him out. And then we'll surprise them when we flash in the Sky Dancer. Although I'm probably still not going to kill him. Well, that's unfortunate. He does have some removal. He is still stuck on 2 mana though, so overall I feel pretty good about where we're at. I may have to go back and revisit my white mana. See if I need to balance that out a little bit better, since I do have a double white, a couple of cards with double white. Oof, would have liked to remove that guy, but I did finally draw it, so that was good. That was a pretty good top deck, that second white mana there. That guy's awful. Oh, apparently this guy just hit all of his rares. Some pretty decent guys right there. Would have liked to have had him for my deck. Ooh, I'm surprised he swung with that guy, because now I swing in with my 7. Getting a couple of life here. Swing, swing. Maybe he's got something to give this guy a couple more counters and lifelink. Sack Outlet would be nice for him, I'm sure. Gives him Menace. Alright. I don't think I really care. We'll just swing in with the fatty. Block there. Give that guy counters. And we'll call that a turn. Well, let's see. Does have enough to kill it, but you have to block with both. So I think we will go ahead, play him, get the life. Now it's a question if we swing in big here. If we send the team, you can only block. He could block that and kill it with him. He'd have to block that with that, and that means I'd get through 3. I think I just swing Seagate Colossus in one more time. Maybe we'll get some removal here. Ooh. That was a fantastic top deck, and I think we got him here. We'll just swing out. Just gotta block him. Alright. Not too bad of a game 1 there. Like I said, I do need to revisit my mana base. Make sure that I have enough white. So we don't have any double black, so I think we're going to go up 1 and down 1 there. I did definitely get lucky there that the guy got mana screwed the first couple of turns. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Oh my. Well, that's a pretty awful start. But I will keep it. It's ironic, my deck's almost telling me, oh, you want more planes? Here you go. Well, now we just hope we draw some black mana. So we will not look to trade here, because we can use this shelter next turn. Oh, that guy's awful. Can we kill it with this? Number of creatures you control the target creature. We will be taking that guy down before he can get any landfall. And might as well swing, because I'm not going to block until I can shelter my dude. That's good. Good in that I don't have to target this guy to remove him. I can just do the... or not. That's a good card. Well, now we're a little bit boned. Guess we're taking 4. Potentially more if he puts more +1/+1 counters on him. Come on, top deck black mana. Like how it gives me the option to cast that. Oh, God. Alright, let's just get that out of the hand here and take a beating. So ironic that I need black mana when I just subbed out a black. Oh, he's just curving out beautifully. Relic Golem that can't attack or block. And let's see. Doesn't matter if we give him protection. I mean, he might have removal, I guess. Alright. We are dead. Good game. And that's what curving out is all about, folks. Maybe a lesson learned there not to keep a 4 mana hand, but we did have a couple of white drops there that we could have cast, so maybe we'll just chalk that one up to not much we could do about that. I feel like when I play this game that there's so many times when the opponent goes first and I go second. I really sure it's probably just psychology. You pay attention when you're not going first, and when you do, it's just like, oh, whatever. But I just feel like it's like, oh my God, my opponent's going first again. All right, so again, no black mana. Maybe need to go revisit me swapping out the couple of lands there. All right, we'll put up a blocker first turn. We could have dropped one of these lands into play tapped and then played this guy turn 2, but interesting. Must have some instant speed pump. And we'll see what he's got. If nothing else, we'll force it out of him. Yep. I like making that trade against decks that have probably drafted aggro. Get the aggro card out of their hand. Throw up a chump blocker. Hopefully we can get a land here that doesn't come into play tapped. Nope. Alright, well. That's fine. Let's see, which one of these do we want to do? It doesn't really matter against a 1/1. So if it stays this way, I'll drop this into play tapped, play him, look to make another trade. That's going to suck when he dies, because he deals damage to a target equal to his power. So we will go ahead and put that into play tapped, play that fella. I maybe could have held it back, but since I got 2 bindings, it's best to just remove him altogether so he doesn't die and deal 3 more damage. Maybe in a position where I have to chump block here. Oh, he didn't swing. That's fantastic. So since he's reluctant to trade there, I'm going to go ahead and do that. No attacks. Maybe I should have binded him instead of him, because I don't think he would have swung to look to trade there. Interesting. A little bit of kind of card draw. Alright, do I bind or do I drop another blocker? I could also get the golem out there right now, although I think I just play another blocker here. Hold back a little bit, stave off the tempo of the aggro deck. Now they've probably got the warrior gets plus blah 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 and blah blah blah. So, gonna go ahead and block here. He might have pump. Let me think about this. 4, 5, 6. I could swing back for 6, take whatever he gets. Alright, let's see what he's got. I'm not going to declare any blockers. He's going to pump something up again. Or just maybe has protection for one of his creatures. He's going to equip here, probably. I don't know. Maybe that guy, since it's the card draw. Alright, there's my black mana. There's my Vanquish the Weak. He's going to attach that Kite Sail over there. Although he might have protection. Well, let's see. Trying to decide what to do here. See if he's got the white card that gives this guy protection. That doesn't help you there. Oh, I was thinking it was converted mana cost as power. It does help him. Alright, that's fine. Guess we should have binded instead. So if it would have blocked last turn, he would have used that pump spell. Alright, well, let's see if he's got another one. I'm going to take 4 from that guy, or he'll remove my other creature, or one of the two. Oh my god, that guy's amazing! So, we'll go with the binding here on that fella. And the stalker here. See if we can stabilize. Well, his aggro deck is working very well thus far. Kind of mad I wasted the Vanquish the Weak. Should have binded there first, knowing that he had pump spells and paid attention to that. Pretty good move. So we'll drop him. Trying to flash him in. Hopefully he won't give him counters. He'll give someone else counters. And then my rogue will also have surprise death touch here, which will be nice. So hopefully he puts the counter like over here. Maybe they won't expect that. He does kind of have me against the ropes. Throw the counter over there. No! That's a bummer. I think I've got a chump block here. And we'll at least get death touch on that guy. Or not. At least the guy was blocked. Actually, I would have done that the other way around if I was him. That didn't make any sense. And I am pretty well screwed here. So you'll get a +1/+1 counter. That guy's just a ridiculously good card. That rare. And since that's a triggered ability, Nahiri's Binding wouldn't have done anything. I don't understand what his hesitation is here. Oh, he's going to move the kite sail over and then put a +1/+1 counter on him. Swing in for game. That's a good move. Usually at this point, if the guy's going to swing in for the win, instead of conceding, I'll just let him smash me in the face one last time. Alright, well, I guess if I won every single game, it wouldn't be a very good video to learn any lessons from. But hopefully we can pull out a couple of wins here and at least get some gems out of the deal. I would really like to see some stats on opponent goes first again. I'd like to see some stats on how many wins come from the person going first versus person going second. I bet it's a fair percentage that the person that goes first in these is the winner. You might have some sort of burn to get rid of my fella. Hey, little extended art Jerboa there. Well, let's see if he wants to trade. Actually, I could just kill it right now with that. Oh, I was thinking that was the damage spell. It's not. Alright, see if he wants to trade, and if he is, I might give him a guy protection. Alright. Well, I could do that now and still have mana back for the shelter, so I think I'll go ahead and do that. Yep, you have a 2/3. those will swing. And that's where we get my guy protection. Protection from red, please. See, if I would have dropped that Core Celebrant pre-combat, then I wouldn't have had mana to do that, and I almost did. So it's kind of a lesson of playing your cards there. He's making his guy big. Ah, that's nice. Get the card draw going. Alright. Definitely, I need black mana again. Alright. Definitely need to go undo the double white mana thing that I did last time. That card advantage is going to suck. Maybe I should have binded that guy so I could remove him. Probably would have been the better way to go there. And he is just decked out on equipment, isn't he? And now I just got to play a chump blocker. Try and outrace the dude. It's going to be tough with his board over there. Well, I think we take 6 here. Well, no, that's dumb if he's going to die. Take 4. Well, another chump blocker. And he's hit his mana, his land drop every single time. He's got to have removal in all that card draw somewhere. Or maybe just the +3 and I'm dead. Well, I don't know that there's a card that I could top deck here to save me. Unless it was the 1-drop. Nope, because even then I couldn't do it. So now, is it even worth? I guess I go here. Don't swing. Double chump block. Unless it's got instant speed removal here. Gains haste. It's a good game right there. At least act like my guys did something. That guy built a really good deck. And I'm not going to get a chance to fix my mana base. So let that be a lesson to everybody. Don't go against what the computer recommends for your mana. let's see if we at least get something decent here. Oh, it just taunts me, gives me that card like, hey, this is the one that beat your face in. All right. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. That concludes the first part of this video. Now I'm going to go back and watch it and see if we can't figure out where my draft went wrong. So here we're on pack 1, pick 1, and this is where I really set the tone for what type of deck I was going to build. Other than black, I could have went with the kicker spell as I mentioned and looked to see what fell with the next few packs. I could have went with the C4 Stalker to start the party theme early, as you can be certain there will be other party themed cards available. Or I could have taken the Akum Hellhound and went with the aggro landfall theme. Pack 1, pick 2, had I went with the aggro landfall theme, the easy choice here would have been Canopy Baloth, and I would have been on my way to a decent deck, I think. But you can't hate on taking a really good removal spell, pack 1, pick 1. Pack 1, pick 3, this is where I went with Nahiri's Binding. I think the mistake I made here is that I didn't consider taking Blood Price. It's a decent card, filtering through your top 4 and drawing 2 of those cards. Plus it would have saved me the choice for a second color until maybe something stood out more significantly. Hindsight being what it is, Blood Price probably wouldn't have helped me because by the time turn 4 rolled around in all my matches, I was trying to answer the threat since I was going second every single one of my games. Pack 1, pick 4. At this point, I wasn't set on white as my second color, and I could have considered going red, but taking the 3-2 for 3 mana isn't horrible, and it potentially set up a sub-theme of life gain, although admittedly that never worked out. Pack 1, pick 5, Roiling Regrowth was here just taunting me for not going with the Gruul aggro landfall theme. Of course, in the moment you just don't know. It was pretty much at this point where I decided on the path of my deck, where I was going to take white as my second color, and I do still like Nahiri's Binding as a card, even though you could argue that that was my downfall since I ended up screwing up my mana base for it. Pack 1, pick 6. Taking 3 2s for 3 mana isn't great, it isn't horrible, but one like this can just get better with other warriors attacking, so that was kind of my thought process when taking this one. Pack 1, pick 7. I do think I should have considered taking the Cliffhaven Sellsword here, since I just drafted the Pair Tactician. There are a few good cards that deal with warriors, and I could have went there instead of going with the Skydancer. Pack 2, pick 1. You really can't go wrong taking instant speed destruction here. As I said, I could have went with Aki Fearless Voyager and went into white, and with my Tactician and the Sellsword, it would have further emphasized the warrior sub-theme. I think I need to get better at considering a big change like that on pack 2, especially when none of my cards that I had picked in round 1 were overwhelming. However, I've tried to switch midstream like that a few times in the past, and I've just been stuck with junk in 3 colors. I'd like to hear what you guys think about switching your direction pack 2, pick 1. Is it a good idea? Have you been successful with it? Let me know in the comments below. Pack 2, pick 2. This is the first time where a really good card that fit my theme fell for me. Sometimes it's all about how the cards fall for your packs, and I'm happy to have taken that card here. Pack 2, pick 5. This is the one where I can come back to it and think I should have taken the Graveyard Recursion card, Thwart the Grave, instead of the measly 2-2 Cleric for 2 mana. I should have figured that a more vanilla card like that Cleric would have been passed and available later, whereas the Thwart the Grave, I should have taken it right there. Again, in the matches, it didn't really end up affecting any of my matches, but I do think that that would have been the better choice here. Pack 3, pick 1. This pack was just awful for me. There was no really valid choices, so I took the Jerboa, which of course I ended up cutting from my deck. It's pretty sad when you can't keep your first pick from a fresh pack. Pack 3, pick 2, same situation. I didn't really have any valid choices in my color. The Colossus is a good card when you go with the party mechanic, so I didn't hate getting it there. but still having to take a card you know is going to be passed around and available late because it's your only option is a pretty sad state of affairs. In summary, the tricky thing about draft is you just don't know what's coming. In an 8-player pod, you're not likely to pass a good card and see it come back around. At a few points there in the draft, I had big decisions to make, and perhaps I could have made better choices. Obviously, nothing was as bad as me switching up my mana base in the middle of the rounds. That really screwed me out of getting black mana. And what was up with me always going second? That's a huge disadvantage, especially in Arena when you're only playing one game. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully some of you found this video useful and you can take away some good strategies for draft. And if you're really good at draft and this video didn't help you, well, that probably means you've got some good knowledge to share for the rest of us. So please leave your comments below as well. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in and appreciate the support for our store, Dungeons and Javas. I'll see y'all next time.